and 1 and 2 and 2 and 1 and... Oh, shucks, I can't dance.
Hey everybody, welcome to Up and Go with Muffins. My name is Daniel, and with me as always is my co-host Ethan. Welcome, Ethan.
Howdy, folks.
And joining us as always, we also have Luke with us. How you doing, boys?
Yeah, g'day. How we doing?
Yeah, good. I've done some baking since baking mentioned in the last baking episode.
Well, so you actually kept true to what you said you might do.
Yeah, I did. I didn't have the soldier things. Egg and
soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that yet. But I did do some baking. I spent far much more money than I care to admit on some equipment.
You bought a KitchenAid. If you know, you know.
Kitchen, yeah, and some cake pans. So let's not forget about cake pans. Those are pricey.
Are you willing to disclose around about where the number is?
Why did
I'll be about
$1,000. Tell how much money you saved on the thing?
Oh yeah, but I mean, I said through my various contacts and relationships, I saved about $600. So that's good. So
there's an indicator for you people.
Yeah. So my baking is expensive.
Baking is very expensive.
Random rant, but I remember looking through those warehouse brochures that you'd get, and you'd look in the jewelry section, and there would be massive savings, and it would be I don't want to buy this necklace, but dude, I'm saving $2,000 if I do.
$2,000.
Yeah.
Hog.
And I'm sure half of that was marketing.
Jewelry existed. Yeah, it's probably
we've taken off all of the money that we charge. What's it called? Charge up, markup.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? Is so through my discounts, I get cost plus 5% at a retailer who I won't name. But so I was like, oh, I need a scale as well. So can you guys chuck it on me? And they were selling it for $50, right? And they gave it to me for cost, which was $20. So there's a fair bit of profit margin in there.
Not bad.
It's when you buy lower tick items that you realize as well. Like if you're buying a $60 phone case and they give it to you for $5, you're like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, I can get behind this. What was the how much warranty do you get on the KitchenAid?
5 years manufacturers. And
5 years. That's solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish it was lifetime. With the price tag, it should be lifetime, really.
5 years ain't bad, though. It's actually quite topical. Flawless segue.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel,
so it is.
I hadn't even thought of that.
So, the topic of this episode is more or less just broad view of the future. And what that means is what we're doing in the next 5 years, where we hope to see kind of the world or technology in the next 5 years, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I thought, it was kind of appropriate. We won't get into politics, but it is for both Americans and us here in New Zealand. It's election year, which changes, what our future is going to be like for the next 4 or so years. And then also for Luke, you have kind of big life change-ish things happening.
Yeah, about time.
Soon. Did you want to start off talking about that? What you're doing at the moment?
Yeah,
if you want to. You don't have to.
I can. What? I've lived at home most of my life. I moved out for for 6 months in 2019, I think. And then
a brief period.
Then it all fell through the floor. So I've been at home, working from home, and that kind of, well, not working from home, but living at home and working since. Now, finally, got some jobs going in Auckland, back up in the city. Probably go to uni next year to study paramedicine at university and get my paramedic patches.
Ooh, fancy.
I don't know how long that'll take. I'll probably do that over 2 years, 2.5 years maybe.
That's not bad.
And then, just vibe, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Open to the future, man.
Are the jobs you're looking at in Auckland, are those in the medical industry? Or
some
just
of them
in general?
Are, some of them aren't. It's at the moment I just need something that I can do until uni, make as much money as I can. And then I've got to decide if I want to study full time, if I want to study part time. What's going to be more? Will it be more beneficial to me to do the student allowance thing through StudyLink and work minimally and get paid by the government to study, or study less and work more.
Right, yeah.
So study for longer but make more money, or study for shorter but don't have to work for money.
It'll be interesting. Also, hit me up about that because I do both. So I've done both. So I'm aware with like depends on your quality of living really. But I mean,
I'll talk to you about that nerd crap off the podcast, but bear that in mind.
See, like you've sorry, just to cut in, you've had like like you said, a small taste of living away from home, 6 months. But like I've
you've never done it.
I've never left home. Nor do I have any intention to in the next couple of years or so.
Not on this one.
And like for me, it's just it's such a I don't know. I honestly don't know what it would be like for me living away from home.
Would you look?
And then there's me who's been like renting for like a year and a half.
Oh, around where you live? Would you look?
What was that? Look for a place around Caddy.
Or around where you live, if you want to cut that out. But look for like your own place around your area. I mean, there's not really like flats or so to speak, but I mean, if a few people, or some of your mates or something, wanted a house.
Nah, I mean, I'm public everywhere about where I live, so.
Well, in that case,
Dan lives at.
Yeah. Just spit out my address. No. I think I would like to stay in this area. I quite like the Bay of Plenty. So I'd like to stay in the Bay of Plenty at the least. And
meth labs.
like unless you're not wrong, but unless I like have to move out sooner, I don't think I'd plan on moving out until like I get myself a house or something.
Right.
I don't plan on going flatting or anything. I think
fair enough. There's not real much point. I mean, unless you're like in a different city from your parents, I don't see the point of getting your own space. Unless like you just want to go at your adult, or you work actually working. Because in my case it's studying, and I live on my own because compromising with other people is hard. And it's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and also like I said, I have my hobbies, and they're expensive hobbies, and you don't want drunkards ruining expensive equipment.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Because I mean, I had a story. I was having some drinks with some friends one night, and he was wearing a like $1,000 leather jacket his dad gave him, and one of the girls at the flat just thought it'd be funny to stick like a sticker on it. But no, that ruins leather.
Right.
Needless to say, that was you just get things like that.
Not a happy evening.
No, it wasn't. One of the few evenings I've got into a fight, but hey, that's for another story.
A physical fight, or
yeah. Well, yeah, just drunkards.
Hands were thrown.
Nothing too thing. Like we try to de-escalate it as not to get expelled or worse, expelled. But no. You don't want to. It's something you want to get out of as fast as possible. But anyway, yeah.
But speaking about you and uni, Ethan, how much longer have you got in uni? How many more years?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. With my current degree structure, I've got about 1.5 years left.
Okay. So the rest of this year and then another year?
No. The end of this year, 1 more year, and then another half year.
Okay. Yep.
Because of how I sort of did my first year, I've kind of got to do some things.
Mm-hmm.
Then it depends on whether or not the School of Science, College of Science, likes me enough to let me do a Master's of Science, even though I've done a Bachelor's of Commerce. And they should allow me to do that, but it's just that's what I'm sorting out over summer this year. And then after that, I'll do my Master's. Then after that, planning to leave for the work. I've got my eyes on the Reserve Bank in Wellington. That'll be nice, but at the same time, I don't want to live in Wellington. So we'll see if I move out into the sort of corporate world. I'd like to, 5 years. 2 years for my thing, 1.5 years for my masters. Sorry, the other way around. 1.5 years for my degree. It's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Well, especially in Christchurch, because I mean, I can have like a nice 4-bedroom home for $500,000, where I can get a flat in Wellington for that, and it's like, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not exactly $500,000 in Christchurch, but it's like 600, 500.
Yeah.
It's like 6,050.
What
As far
exactly?
as New Zealand goes, not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What exactly interests you about the Bank of Wellington, Reserve Bank of Wellington?
So I'm, as you've probably heard, I'm studying economics, and the Reserve Bank basically deal with fiscal policy, which basically they have a set of tools at their disposal which influences money and how much money is in the system, and that sort of more or less determines the price level. It also has effects on how much jobs they're doing. It's especially interesting at the moment with COVID-19 and the response to that. And because the thing about economics is there's a lot of theory either way, but it really happens to see what happens in practice because it's a descriptive discipline, not a prescriptive one. But it's just it's kind of like, you get to play God. It's a good job.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's policy making. Other than that, I don't know. I might go and maybe do some small business stuff. Wouldn't mind doing something in baking or cooking. That could be fun, but we'll see.
Like
We'll see.
something of your own, or like going into.
Yeah, definitely I'll do something of my own, but it depends at the time how the market's looking. I mean,
So then-
Lord knows the last thing New Zealand needs is another cafe. Too many of them.
You raised a fair point.
Oh,
So then, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was going to go off on a mini rant about baking. So you can look.
No.
I was going to say, so then, in regards to what you're studying, do you intend to fully work in on that field, or you kind of just study?
Yes, I would like to loop back and take it and do a PhD eventually,
Yep.
and then I will go into academia. However, I don't think it's a good idea from all the PhDs I've spoken to go to be essentially a career academic. And it's the best. The only thing you can really compare it to is career politicians, and the same thing, but that brushes a bit too close to politics, so we won't touch it. But basically, the idea is that if you're teaching something, you want to have an idea of how it's applied, and you can read how it's applied all you want in textbooks, but you're not really going to understand how it's applied unless you go out and you work with it.
Of course.
And so that's what I'm interested in doing, and
So
just get a couple
in
years.
than actually like working in that field forever. Then.
Yeah, most likely. I'd definitely like to do research, but I mean, it depends. Some research is more interesting than others, especially because I'm doing a math degree at the same time. And so how that works can be real interesting. Because I mean, how that works. So you never know. But it's not so much that I don't have a clear plan, but I don't have a clear plan within that plan.
You don't.
Like, I have a direction, but the details,
Right.
the I's and T's aren't.
You
crossed.
can't
The I's
look
aren't
into
dots
the
and
next.
T's aren't crossed.
You can't look into the next 5 years and see where you'll definitely be. Essentially.
Well, that's just because the other thing is like people that go math and economics. It's like I could go work for a consultancy firm. Could go work for the government. I could go work for a bank in England. It depends what's on the market at the time and what I feel like doing.
Yeah.
It's not like doing a job in forestry or doing a degree in forestry or paramedic, where afterwards you go be a paramedic or afterwards you go work with trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Whereas you're studying a lot more, like a broader subject, which has a lot of horizons.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, in terms of academic situations, economics and mathematics, in terms of a degree, are highly sought after in problem-solving areas, almost like physicists. Because, a lot of people who graduate with physics degrees don't actually end up working in physics. They go work for the government, or a lot of them work for the government, and sort of general problem-solving areas or business. And so you can do a lot of different things with this, even though if your degree isn't necessarily. Because, here's a cynical thing, kids, if you've got anyone listening. A bachelor's degree is worth nothing. You've got to really have. It depends on your field. Most likely, bachelor's degrees are, they're the equivalent of what our parents had coming out of high school, and that's worrying.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. In terms of it's your entry level to the job place for some things, but yeah. It's not end all be all.
Mm.
I'm actually very cynical about university. I more often than not, I think the correct
out of
answer
the
is to
three
not
of
go.
us, only one of us is currently in university, and he's the one that's cynical about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that makes sense though. I think because
That's
it's
true.
like
That's true. That's, yeah.
and the answer and the reason I'm cynical about it is in general, right? Like too many people are in higher education who shouldn't be in higher education because everyone thinks higher education is the mark of success. It's not. It's higher education, and it just needs to be treated like that.
How? While we're just on the subject of university, how long is a whatever you have to do to be a paramedic or whatever you called it?
Normally it's
complicated words.
It's normally a 3-year degree. So long it would normally take at uni, but because I already have a diploma level of that, almost a third of the course is cross-credit to me already.
Oh, okay.
So I just really have to do a certain amount of papers, technically, which in my position I can do, I think, probably in 2 years, or I've got the option to do it part-time over 6 years. Up to a total of 6 years.
Yep, I see what you're saying. Yep.
So I pretty much, like I said earlier, when I've got all my information that I need, I'll build myself a study plan.
Yeah. Huh.
What about you then? Because you are studying as well, aren't you?
I am studying, yeah. I'm using a system called Primary ITO, and so essentially what it is I do go to classes like once every 3 months or so, but most of the work I do is actually like just at my job.
Yes,
like,
it's kind of more of an apprenticeship then.
It is kind of, it's pretty much
way.
more of an apprenticeship. I'm working anyway, and I'm also able to work through papers while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I'll end up with, NCA level 3 and 4 for horticulture, which all that does is just give me the, certificate so that, I've got the skills already, or, will be getting the skills anyway.
I mean, I got the paper that says you have the skills.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be interesting to see how education changes over these next 5 years.
Do you intend to stay in horticulture, Daniel?
I do. And just like what you were saying, Ethan, with the skills of economics and mathematics, how it's like broad and there's a lot you can go into. Yeah. You don't think of it like straight off the bat that horticulture has a lot you can go into, but it really does.
Yeah.
Like first of all, you've got there's a term for it, and I'm pretty sure it's a silly term. Oh, it's water technicians. You've got water technicians, right?
It is saying that I once spoke to a grass engineer. So it's not the worst.
That's true. I remember you mentioning that.
Engineer. Shout out to the grass engineers.
If you're a grass engineer, let us know at upngowmuffins@gmail.com.
Or join
we don't mean a marijuana enthusiast.
Say nope to the... No, but yeah, you've got what do I call it? Water technicians. And they do like piping and everything and all that sort of stuff. You've got the whole
fancy plumbers or
but also you build pumps and stuff and
okay, cool.
And you service pumps and you build you figure out what's the best tank to have to hold this much water and this much pressure. And,
that sounds like a lot of math.
There is a lot of math that goes into that. So there would, I could go into that field, but there'd be a lot more I need to do unless I stuck to just purely the construction side, right? Which if I did go into that area, which is a possibility, I would just stick to the construction side. I'd just be like, give me all the piping, I'll put it in the ground, I'll stick it together.
Right, yeah.
But that's a part you can do. There's construction side of it, building structures and everything. Like we grow our blueberries under tunnel houses, so there's that side of it. There's business there. There's business in selling fertilization. I wouldn't
mind getting into farming. Definitely, it's something I wouldn't mind doing.
I do plan, especially in the next 5 years, but probably for quite a while. I plan on sticking in horticulture, and even as I go into getting married, having a family, I want at the very least a garden. When
would
when
you
I
like to have your own farm or something one day?
When I want at the very least my own veggie garden, something I can go out and grow my own food, and care for and something. But I wouldn't even mind having a full, like, I don't know, half a hectare orchard or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be nice.
Something small to just keep my time while I don't know, who knows what I'll be doing. But
one thing I'm considering getting rather soon might be like an herb garden, just because it's so herbs are so expensive normally, and like and you normally buy them in plants anyway that die if you don't lose them soon enough. So it's like may as well just pick them from the garden,
like we at the orchard we do actually have a bit of thyme that we're growing, and just as like on the edge because it grows out kind of like a
weed almost, or
like a weed, and it stops the other weed from growing more or less. So
it's a good weed.
It's a nice weed, and it smells nice when you mow it. So
oh, it does.
That's
I
the
imagine
best
it does.
part about like
I love
going through
thyme.
the orchards and stuff is when you hit a lemon, you get like nice lemon smell in the air.
Yeah.
Chimpong. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a lemon. Nice.
Yeah, it's nature's air freshener.
Yeah.
But no, I just enjoy working outside. I enjoy working with my hands.
Yeah.
I don't think I could. It would. Hell would freeze over before you'd work a desk job.
That's
I
true.
say that with absolute confidence.
I would have to
love what you're doing.
Yeah, I would have to really love what I was doing, and even then, I can see myself going into retail in that if I loved the retail store I was in, like while I am still working for Mike. In my current job, there was like an opportunity to work for Gateway Games, which is a board game store in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I didn't have, my current job, I would have definitely signed up for that, because I would have loved to work there and, like, help people around and stuff. And I wouldn't mind that because I'm not just sitting at a desk,
If you care about what you're selling,
But my preference would be to stay outside as long as I can, essentially.
Yeah. Plus, you got to enjoy this essential worker moniker.
Yeah, well, I wasn't the only one. Luke was essential too.
Yeah, but this is essentially an outside job.
Everyone's at home and no one's hurting themselves.
Really, I'd imagine like most. No, I suppose not.
I don't know if I can disclose, but I'll tell you anyway. I believe that Taronga Station's workload dropped by 30%.
Wow.
I mean, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I guess it does make
I
sense. You got less people on the road.
Yeah. I was going to say that it'll be the road is the big one, especially in Taronga.
Yeah, road and
the Bay of Plenty even.
Accidents and that kind of stuff.
So, like, I got my license, I don't know, 4 months ago now? Or no. 4 months ago now. And, like, since getting my license, I've realized how stupid a lot of the drivers in Katikati are.
Oh, about time you made that realization, brother.
I'll give you a hint. It's not. Katikati's better than most places.
Just wait till the day you drive in Auckland.
Yeah.
Mr. Daniel.
I just, I'll be driving down the road, right? Like, obviously with mum or dad with me because I can't drive by myself.
Dad needs his learner's license, but...
Yeah, but, like, I'll be driving down the road with a truck in front of us, and then the truck just suddenly stops. And so I have to, like, put my foot on the brake. The truck then indicates and turns instantly as soon as he puts the indicator on. And I'm like...
And you're just going... the whole...
I can't even beat my horn in anger because it's so happy.
You and your little... is it a Mazda? Mazda one?
Yeah,
Mazda Demio. I know it's not a Demio, but I always remember it as a Demio.
Yeah, it's some sort of Italian name or something. Yeah.
Italian name on a French car.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like where cars are going to get Fiats in the in the future, because like already our cars are getting
boring. They're getting boring.
I drove one that tried to kill me the other day because it didn't like the road. I was driving.
That sounds interesting.
Oh well, it's not too interesting, but basically, you've got cars now detect white lines on the side of the road. Now there's this one corner where there isn't a lot of, or there's one intersection where there's not a lot of room between the white line and the side, like the grass off the side of the road, and you've got to pull into the right lane to turn under the bridge to go to the airport. And the car thought I was trying to drive it off the road and didn't like it, and so it's got steering assist, and so it slams you back the other way.
Wow. Okay.
And luckily it wasn't a car next to me, but like it was very strong, and I wasn't expecting it. But I was able to keep it under control.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, yeah.
But I mean, that's what I mean. Like cars are getting to like that, smart enough to. Well, that was a dumb, that was a dumb example. But in general, that's a smart thing for it to have.
Yeah, it's especially on highways. That's something that you would probably go like only do if you're like the GPS acknowledges that you're on like the state highway or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that's what they're designed to do. Like, because there's a Merc and they're designed for the autobahn,
Right. Yeah.
God, I wish we had an autobahn. I would love one of those.
I mean, autobahn just means motorway, doesn't it?
Sure, but it's a big motorway with no speed limit.
No.
The no speed limit being the operative thing.
But like, when did electric cars come out?
Electric cars have been around since 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s. That's when Tesla was funded. A lot of people don't know that. Founded, sorry.
They didn't become popular
when they became mainstream, and by mainstream I mean we're starting like to have international dominance in the market. You're probably looking at 2013, 2011.
It's when the Prius is one
and
of
they've
those
only
big
got
ones.
good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they've only got like decent recently. Like Tesla was a big.
Wait, the first practical electrical car was in 1880.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm like, huh?
Yeah, that's like something some guy built in his garage. I mean, like commercial productions.
Yeah.
The Tesla's doing really well at the moment as well.
God, his stock strategy is the funniest thing.
Oh, but it's working.
What
I know.
What
It'll
is it?
crash eventually. Be antagonistic, and like it just works because because more or less like people, as the CEO's public image can influence what happens with the money in the company and the value of the stock, because stock prices are influenced by what you expect it to be, not by what it will be.
Mm-hmm.
And so he plays this massive game of chicken and the game where you would run out like chicken on Twitter, and it messes with the stock price. It's real funny to watch.
It's hilarious.
Musk is a funny man, though.
Yeah, he's interesting.
I am disappointed he wasn't on your top 10 interesting people.
I suppose he's interesting. I don't think he's like I for me it was not necessarily interesting people, but rather people who've had like a massive influence over me.
Mm-hmm.
And while he's I love the space, like the stuff he's doing with SpaceX is doing. But to me, it's sort of I'm more interested in like engineers on the ground doing neat things than like the the masterminds. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'll go on a quick tangent about Steve Jobs, right? Like Steve Jobs was just like the marketing guy who like went, I want this and this, and then the engineers went, how the hell are we going to build this?
Right.
But they always did it, and it's like I have a lot more respect for Steve Wozniak and other people who like enjoyed tinkering and making things rather than Steve Jobs.
I've heard that. Who is Steve Wozniak? Is that?
He's the co-founder. He was Jobs' engineer.
Okay, yeah. I know I'd heard the name before. Is he still alive?
Heard it from he is.
Yeah.
He's,
does he run Apple at the moment?
No. God, he retired ages ago.
Okay.
It's Tim Cook runs Apple at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you always get what's that old meme? You've got
the Stoinks one.
No. It's like
He means an actual meme. Dan's a boomer.
No,
like he's talking. he means like Velociraptor.
Come on.
I mean, I'm talking about the
like
black and white picture, a lady
piano.
dancing, and then it cuts to words, and it says she doth dance too much. No, the one it was like architects, versus engineers.
Architect, when they say build this and the builders go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's accountants, engineers, and architects.
Oh, okay.
That's.
But I always wonder, what it's like in like some technological like companies and stuff where they're like, hey, we want it to do this, and they're like,
You're dreaming.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I have found out is they don't let the tech guys ever test how things are used, because I've also found out why. It's because we all once you're now, this is one thing me and Dan argue over a fair amount, and that's implicit knowledge of things. So knowledge that that you should have for just being around things for long enough.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And a lot of it's just an intuition that has to be built up by doing that thing for long enough. And so basically tech people are terrible at product testing, because we all have, you've got more or less the same intuition, but then when it gets to people who don't have that intuition, then it's really awful to use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a techie designs something to work a very particular way because they know how it's
Well,
supposed
it doesn't
to
have to
work.
be pretty, it just has to work.
Yeah, then
That's
someone else
the thing.
goes, how the hell does this work? Because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah, it makes
Mm.
like, okay.
A similar thing in the board game industry. You've got people obviously that have to write rules for board games.
Yeah.
And normally it's not the designer. Normally the designer will, make all the rules, but someone has to actually write it into a readable rulebook.
Yeah.
And
because I've written games rules before, and it's like it's like a shorthand scribble on a napkin that I have to be playing the game when teaching people to explain it.
But a complaint that's often made if a rulebook is bad is it's like they clearly didn't give the game and the rulebook to someone and just say, play this.
Yeah.
They taught everyone, they're like, here's the rulebook, and they taught them the game using the rulebook, and so people are like, oh, this makes sense, and they're like, oh, cool, check rulebook tested. They didn't. You have to do.
The rules have been tested, not the rulebook.
Yeah, you have to do like a kind of blind play test. Like, here, I'm going to give you everything. You figure it out. Does it make sense? And people come back going, I'm stuck. And it's like, oh, okay.
What? How? Yeah.
Yeah, we need to redo something. And I can imagine a similar thing with like the technology. Like they build it and they're like, this makes perfect sense, super easy. And it's like, yes, because you built it. It's like,
that's a label I slap on all my work. Beautiful and intuitive. and then it gets marked, and they're like, huh? And I'm like, how dare you?
Yeah, it's like building with Play-Doh. It's like, how can you not see that this is a flower? It's like,
Yeah.
And then it just boils down to that stuff too, because then you'll be playing a very crude example, but you'll be playing a game or something, and then it's like, right, in order to win, you've got to land a backflip. And you're like, well, I can't do that.
yeah.
One little side note thing that's always pissed me off about video games, actually. Like, you want to sit down, you want to play a game. Like, let's say a single-player playthrough puzzle sort of game. You're like, let's do something fun. Get away from the real-world and real-world problems. And you get in the game, and it's like, right, for your next puzzle, you will now solve a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I can't do this in real life. How am I supposed to... You have to bloody Google how to solve a Rubik's Cube just to...
the mark of a good puzzle is that you should... well, actually, puzzles are real... I'm glad we're talking about puzzles. I mean, it's not really fitting the intended topic, but we'll go on a little tangent about it.
Wait, but before we do, can I ask... What did you just pour into a cup?
Powerade.
Oh, okay. Because it's just... Ethan just walks over to his fridge, pulls out like a very blue liquid. Like a very blue liquid.
It's like...
and I'm like...
Blue.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was just curious.
It looks like
I do not have any...
It's like a speed cola or something,
you could call it Quantum.
I was visiting Bono once, and he goes, hey, look, do you know how to play poker? And I was like, yeah, why? And he goes, good, because I don't, and I've got to win a game of poker in Far Cry 3 to progress the story. And I was like, oh, sure, I'll play. Stuff like that, I'm like...
Anyway, sorry, Ethan, you were going to go on about puzzles?
Puzzles and inferred knowledge are really interesting. Especially when it becomes
inferred
like...
knowledge?
Yeah, right. So, like, for example, like physicals... I like physical puzzles as well. And some of them, like, they'll have mechanisms in which you just have to, like, actually, like, place it on the table and spin it, and to get, like, some centrifugal force into it, and it'll move something inside.
Oh,
right?
like, yeah, those type of puzzles. Yeah.
And, like, unless you know, like, a certain basic, how some puzzles can work, you wouldn't have a snowball's chance in hell of solving those puzzles. But I think puzzle games, I really like puzzle games specifically, And I think the mark of a good puzzle game is building upon simple mechanics and making them difficult. And Portal, to an extent, it's not the most challenging game, does it very well.
Mhm.
And that's why it's probably one of the most popular
Right,
puzzle
yeah.
games.
It's very
It's
simple.
slowly-
Very simple mechanic, and it's
And
used
it
a
slowly
lot.
introduces you to new stuff and encourages you to, well, like the game says itself, think with portals.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. The mechanic is you have a gun. It shoots 2 different colored portals. You can
Portals
walk
go
through.
on
You can
only
walk
Sorry,
through
the
the
said-
portal.
portals.
Explain it.
Portals only
no,
go
but,
on
like,
said
that's-
walls. And
Yeah, and that's the simpleness of it. And then
Mm.
you have to figure out how to use the tools you have.
Yeah,
To
and then you
complete-
add that momentum is conserved, and that gets
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit more,
yeah. But you're right. I do appreciate that in a puzzle when it's the basics is really simple. Like
Yeah.
what you're doing is simple. You just gotta figure it out. And
yeah, and the basics are always what's used to solve the puzzle. It doesn't throw
Now,
some
in
kind of
saying
curveball
that,
in there.
I do. The one thing I really have been enjoying is the more you go into mathematics, especially obscure mathematics, is the amount of like ridiculous ways that you can solve puzzles that you won't think of ways that you would be able to bring it back and solve puzzles. For example, there is this problem which is I think you've got like a 16 by 16 set of things, and you like a chessboard that has a trapdoor under
Okay.
each thing.
Yeah.
And so now there's like I think there's coins, and there's a key in one of it, and you've been sort of like taken away, and you and your friend have been locked in. And the key will be placed in one of these things, and then you're allowed to go into the room, flip over one coin on top of one of the tiles, and that has to signal to your partner where the key is. Now, and you're allowed to talk as much as you want with your partner about the strategy of how this is going to be determined,
Mhm.
but the warden can listen in on as well, so like he can hear your strategy and do that. Now, anyway, the way you solve this, it gets into having to paint the vertices on nth dimensional cubes, which means nothing to people. But
You're right. It does.
It's some really obscure, like it's some really obscure mathematics to solve this really particular problem. That's really neat. Because you can do it, and that's the amazing thing. But what's more amazing is knowing where it is impossible to do it. Yeah, 3 Brown 1 Blue and Matthew Parker have some good videos on that on YouTube. If you would like to check that out.
That sounds very mathy, and I'll be honest, I understood half of it.
Yeah, it's
I
just
like-
I like.
I understood. Yeah, I understood.
The
what you're
point
saying,
being is you
the-
can get
the
some
point of it.
like you can get some people who just pull a puzzle out of thin air, and like you would have nowhere it's inferred knowledge, right?
Mhm.
To solve that, you have to employ some really obscure techniques, and that does make it a bit fun though.
Stuff like
Have,
that's fun if you kind of know what you're doing.
It also relates to, I believe, what's called error checking code. So, like when you're writing code and you may be sending data over Wi-Fi and over long distances, the code that is relevant and the math behind checking that there isn't an error when it's been received is also relevant to that problem.
Yeah,
And so it's neat.
Have either of you done a puzzle? Not a puzzle room.
Escape room?
Escape room. That's
Escape
it. Thank
room.
you.
I have.
I haven't.
You have, Ethan?
Yes.
Oh, nice. What
I'd
was
be
that
the
like?
guy who doesn't say anything for the whole time, and then
Hmm.
there's like one puzzle everyone's stuck on, and I go, "Oh, it's this." And then
You wish you
They
were
are
that guy.
they are good, but they do tend to cater to the lowest common denominator. So it's really hard to.
it's like me.
It's real hard to find one that's particularly challenging.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it, but like, see, here's the problem with certain puzzles, and specifically and this is why a lot of people get frustrated with math, is also when you can see the answer, but getting to it is tedious.
Right. What do
So-
you mean by that? Like.
So, for example, let's say like you know what you have to do, except you've got to do this really tedious thing, and it's not hard to
Right,
do.
yeah.
It just takes a lot of time, and if you mess up one little thing, then it's
Mhm.
like,
So
oh,
you,
God,
you
no,
know
then-
exactly the formula you've got to use to solve the puzzle, but
and it's just working through it, and it's a lot of
Mhm,
writing.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of escape room puzzles fall into that.
Mm-hmm. There's a style. I've never gone to an escape room. I would like to, but like
You should go
there's.
if you guys come to Christchurch.
Have you guys got a good one in Christchurch? I'm
Yeah,
sure you've
you've
probably got multiple because you're so big.
Mm.
We've got one in Tauranga, and I've been tempted to go to it, but just never have got around to it because it is actually quite expensive too.
Yeah, they are expensive.
But you can
See,
you can get like escape room games, like board games and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, it's like you buy it and you can play it once before you have to pass it on because you've figured it out, you've solved it. But they do intrigue me. Like, yeah,
the escape room here is built in an old prison, so that's real cool.
Ooh, that is cool. Is that the one you've gone to, or?
Yeah, it is. And I believe they do like varying levels of difficulty. But the one thing I'm worried about.
Are you allowed to film it?
No.
Oh, damn it! Because that could be a cool podcast.
I mean, you might be able to get like permission as long as you don't show solutions. But,
right. Yeah. No.
The thing I'm worried about going to like a difficult escape room is like I just mentioned, it being difficult because it's tedious, not because the puzzle is hard.
You're right. Yeah. But I mean, I guess that's why the point of them generally is to have like
cooperation is normal.
Quite a few people, and so everyone's working together, and so like you don't get the puzzle, but someone else might be able to, or
they're team building exercises.
Yuck. Okay.
Well, because the one we did, was particularly interesting because we went in with a group, and you had to get handcuffed to someone.
Huh.
And so so we were all walking around trying to do like, and it was kind of funny.
Because you get dragged off in one direction. No, this way.
Me and you did that once, Ethan, but we weren't doing a puzzle.
We weren't doing a puzzle. It's like, give me your wrist. You're like, why? I'm like, give me your wrist.
No, we were just what was it? Garage sale? Yeah, it was a garage sale. And there was a pair of like handcuffs, like the cheap metal ones.
Yeah.
And Ethan was just like, give me your wrist. I'm like, okay. He slaps a handcuff on me.
It's kind of epic, though.
Yeah, that was good times.
Good times.
Good times.
But yeah. Now, anyway, future. It's gonna cars are going to be interesting, I reckon.
Cars and technology. Do you think? There's a question for both of you because you guys are both probably more technologically knowledgeable than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great
do you think?
Go on.
Do you think? And I'll make this a dual question. Do you think in the next 5 years we'll have like major technological advances? And if not, 5 years, like when do you think like technology will really, I guess the next big leap in technology,
So like big leaps as in stuff like the internet.
Yeah, in touchscreen, internet, VR, that sort of stuff.
Well, VR is a good point, actually.
In consumer technology, I think the answer is no.
For the next 5 years.
For the 5 years, I think the thing that's the next real big thing is going to be, and the real bottleneck on technology at the moment is privacy concerns.
Right. Yeah.
And security concerns, because you can make some really neat things. It's just you have to invade a lot of people's privacy, or you have to break a lot of laws to do so. Robots, I think the main focus will be automation and robots. AI is going to be a big thing. I think it's going to be interesting how that plays out. Because, for example, lawyers, you wouldn't think so, but lawyers are actually one of the jobs that are going to be phased out by AI. Because most legal cases have already got a precedent, right? So you don't need most lawyers. You only need the really good ones for the new stuff. And I remember reading this article about how they had 3 of the top law guys from Harvard or Stanford or something race in AI to find a precedent for a case, and it took these lawyers 3 hours, and it took the computer 2 minutes.
For the dumb people listening, what do you mean by a precedent?
A precedent is a case. So if you do something that isn't strictly against the law or is like can be interpreted in a certain way because of how the law's written, and then a punishment is doled out, that sets the precedent for if the next person does a kind of thing, it will be like the first case will be used to determine the second case, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I knew that. I just needed, I needed you to
clarify for the audience.
Yeah.
I think that may be a poor explanation, but I think a good way of.
If you think it's a poor explanation,
speaking of wars.
What did you say?
Speaking of wars. Speaking of wars, I've got a neat book. It's very thick.
Book, boys.
New Zealand is gay and shouldn't be a country.
Oh, I didn't realize you thought that way, Ethan.
New Zealand Civil Rights Handbook. Interesting.
It has all your civil rights, and it is a fascinating read.
Did you get that out of the library, or?
No, I've got this. This is mine.
Okay, cool.
This is all the rights you have.
I think you're right.
Anything noteworthy that we probably wouldn't know? Like, give us a.
You have a right to drink up and go by sanitarium.
Rights that you didn't know. Yeah, you're obligated by law to drink up and go and listen to this podcast.
Well, it's like things about like the education's really interesting. Youth justice is pretty interesting as well. I mean, there's just sort of like normal Human Rights Act and how it applies and what it doesn't. And it's good. It's good to know your civil rights, especially when things, I mean, again, it's hard to talk about rights without getting into politics.
Yeah,
but especially with over lockdown stuff, like one of the rights in New Zealand is the freedom of movement, and that was infringed, right?
Right.
And the so was it for the best? Sure, but infringing on rights is not something you're allowed to do lightly. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah,
because I believe there's been a royal commission into it.
Maybe we should create a sub podcast called "Up and Go with Politics."
yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah,
we probably should we should probably call it Muppets with Politics actually. I'm sure introducing politics into Sanitarium's brand name is.
Well, we should change it to Sanitarium's official political views.
That'll get their attention at least.
Yeah.
No, just something interesting that I won't say his name on the podcast, but someone that I know who's standing in for a political party. So you guys both know who I'm talking about. But like something he's been talking about is the fact that in America you have what do you have? You have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
I think so.
Yeah, and he said apart from currently, where they are kind of starting to get what's the word, put down a little bit, but like up till now, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and that sort of stuff, they're kind of considered higher law, right?
Well, because it's federal law. You in the state like.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. You have state laws and all that, but like
because the states have rights for self-governance, yeah.
Whereas New Zealand, we've never really considered our version of those, and I can't remember what they're called, as higher law.
Well, we do have a Bill of Rights, and I believe we've got a
Yeah, we do have a Bill of Rights. We have the Treaty of Waitangi, which is it's different, but
kind of a constitution, yeah.
Yeah, but our Bill of Rights, aren't considered higher law. Then we changed it. Well, we don't necessarily change the Bill of Rights, but we retranslate it to fit the laws we make. But I just find that interesting. I do find civil rights and stuff. I've always found that sort of stuff interesting.
Yeah, rights are really interesting.
And on that, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, on that, I agree with you that I think a lot of the technological advances that will happen will be slowed down by trying to make them happen without infringing on like privacy. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like most, more in the case that they will happen whether or not, but keeping them under control is another question.
Right. Yeah. Okay,
like I mean, Facebook is a prime example of this. Yeah. And it depends. I mean, most people. I mean, we've had this discussion a few times where it's like most people do not everyone has the right to, not care about their privacy.
Yeah.
But the extent to which they don't know how much of their privacy they're giving up is the thing I am concerned
Yeah,
about.
they also have the right to be informed about things,
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure if that's necessarily right, but I get what you mean. Like,
yeah,
it's like there might be something.
Yeah, but
Check my book.
Yeah. Let us know once you get past page 7082.
How many pages does this have?
While you're looking that up,
640.
Without knowing 640. Okay.
640 pages.
Without knowing where technology is at the moment, or where it's heading, or what speed it's traveling at, I think sort of similar to what you said, but like our main focus point will be for
I think space travel will be interesting.
Space travel, yeah. But like I think our main focus point for technology will be, and I can't think of the term, but like ease of life, convenience. Thank you. That is the exact term I was looking for. Like I think we'll.
How do you mean?
Well, so kind of like what you said for AI, right? And AI might take, Google Home and all that sort of stuff. But we'll take AI for an example, and you said they might take like lawyers' jobs or whatever.
Maybe this might be a little bit further, but sorry, I'll let you finish.
that is, in my opinion, still like convenience. If you can have a robot that can settle a law dispute in, a matter of however long a robot takes to compute things and everything, versus lawyers having a debate for 3 months, everyone's going to, want that. Well, not those that lose the lawsuit, but
Yeah. Well, also not the lawyers. Oh man, job like technological job replacement is such an interesting economical issue. Because basically, you run because a lot of people have a really specialized set of skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like most people build cars, or most people don't build cars, but most people have a specialized set of skills that, if it is replaced, they suddenly are in the camp with people who they may as well not have those skills anymore, depending on the price of capital.
Right. Yeah.
And so you get this really, and education takes time, and so not having a broad skill set is a really big concern. Because so for example, if you don't know, with our current level of sophistication technologically in our society, there isn't jobs for about 15% of people.
Mm-hmm.
They're worldwide. So that's not necessarily true per country. But in terms of humanity, with the current way education is distributed and everything, or human ability is distributed, you would say, it's very, very, very hard to find jobs for the bottom 15% that isn't counterproductive. And that number is only going to get bigger as jobs get more complex.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's a big problem because those people exist and need places to live and food. And
I don't remember who I was talking to, but I remember someone saying, it's a very specific story, but I don't remember who it was. And I apologize if you listen to this podcast, but I don't think you do. But they were telling me about their friend's daughter, right? And she studied in university and studied for a very specific set of skills. And I don't remember a lot of the fact parts of this. I just remember the general story.
The gist.
Right? Studied for a very particular set of skills in her country. Came out of university with, like you said, a very specific set of skills that only really fit, specific jobs. And just
and then if those jobs disappear.
They disappeared, and there were none available for her anywhere near, and she had to come to New Zealand, and that's how the people I'm thinking of met. And even then, she wasn't able to get her job, and then had to just do something else. And I don't know where she is now or whatever, but essentially, all that time studying and training for this very specific, set of skills, is gone to waste.
Yeah.
And I see what you're saying. Then with AI or whatever being able to come in and take those jobs.
Yeah, we are a long way off that though. Like I believe it's estimated like 50 years.
Right, for like major jobs though. Like I feel like
for big jobs.
Yeah.
But like it's still going to be a problem because I mean, so we'll be 70, sure, but I mean, there'll be kids still, and I mean, I'm not too optimistic about people's intelligence increasing enough to beat out at the rate computers do.
I'm not optimistic about people's intelligence increasing in general.
In period.
Let alone enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I said what is more important is increasing the education of the lower bound, if that makes sense. So like making that like there is a certain level to which
bringing up the bottom, you mean, rather than
shifting the mean.
Yeah.
There is a certain level to which, obviously, there is some limitations on people if you are born with a disability or have some other thing that prevents you, whether it just be natural, like, that's just a limit of what you can learn. There is upper limits to that. But what you're concerned with is when people are in a lower bracket than they should be because of educational system issues, like structural issues. And this is something I bang on about a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is more or less what you talked about on. I don't know what episode it was. Yeah, but
I think it was like 8 or something, 8 or 7.
No, it was like 5, somewhere around there.
No, it can't be 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna fact check you and prove you wrong.
We're gonna get.
But anyway, you talked about Khan Academy. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, exactly.
And how you'd like to kind of make something like that to bring up that.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I'd like to make something like Khan Academy, because I mean Khan Academy is pretty good, but just definitely get involved in education somehow.
Yep, episode 4, by the way.
Episode 4. Huh.
Episode 4. That was way back then.
So, wow, how long has that been? Because we're on episode 13, and it would be
April
26
18th.
weeks. 4 months. Does it feel like it, boys?
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
This year's weird. Yeah, I was
Mm-hmm.
talking about Into the Spider-Verse, right? When did that come out? 2018? No, 2019.
Interesting.
Came out a little while ago.
Our top results
talking
on
about
Spotify is episode 9. I wonder why that is. Around the world. What was episode 8?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure we got good. I'm pretty sure we got good views on that one actually around the world.
Yeah, I think that was one of our first YouTube videos as well.
You should all, everyone listening, you should email us or jump on Discord and let us know what your favorite episode is. And like I said before, but nobody seems to be interested, or you don't have any ideas, which is fine. You can keep listening. We'll keep making this for as long as
we can think of things.
As long as we enjoy it, and as long as we can think of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, the last episode we just released, that was just us ranting to each other about whatever we felt like.
It's really basically a scheduled chat between us at this point.
Yeah.
We do have stuff. We have stuff planned, obviously, but we don't want to use all our ideas at once.
Yeah. That's a good opportunity to talk about that stuff. But
actually.
But I was going to say something.
Come back to that.
It's gone from my brain.
You're gonna have to keep listening
escaped
now,
my noggin.
Mini announcement coming up.
Yeah. I am very annoyed now. I had something important I was going to say.
Education, Khan Academy.
No, it was. We were talking about episode 4. How long? Oh, no, that's it. It wasn't important at all. But I was talking about Into the Spider-Verse, which came out, if not last year, then the year before, right? But I was talking to someone about it, and I was like, Into the Spider-Verse, I think, would be one of the best movies this year. And they kind of looked at me, and I was like, oh, no, it wasn't this year, was it? And it's just, for me, this year has honestly just kind of mushed into last year. And, like, I don't know, time, even though I worked all the way through lockdown, time for me for this year in general really hasn't been long.
Well, I mean, university is really...
You know what I mean?
I can't believe it's August already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're halfway through the year.
And so then,
more than.
The interesting thing about being at university in terms of time is university is a 24-week thing, right? Full time. So you've got a semester is 12 weeks plus study, plus exams. And so we're already through. I've already done. God, it just makes time go so much faster. When it doesn't feel like I'm almost at the first term, so I've only got about 7 weeks left of university for the year.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
That is quite crazy. 7 weeks.
And especially because I'm studying and then I'm working. I don't have a weekend, like just an off day. It makes time go so fast.
We should do something. Us three, we should get together and try to do something in January.
Surely.
Is January a free month for you guys? Are you studying?
So.
Way away.
I may be doing summer school. Just to see if I can.
Like 6 months till January.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be keen to do a get together. Like we talked about in episode. What did you say? 9 was around the world.
Yeah.
Like I haven't done much traveling in New
Especially
Zealand.
on the south.
We should.
Plus, it's nice.
Yeah,
I love having my own place. If you can have your own place, it's great.
Well, I think at the very least,
lonely, though, I suppose.
you need at the very least you need your own space in a place, right? Like and more than just a room or something.
Yeah,
I think like a small room with your stuff in it.
I think you need minimum of 2 rooms, like one for sleeping and then one for like doing things.
So like for us, I mean, it's not just my own space, like, but we have the game room, right? Like where I am at the moment. And it's got a board game table, it's got the board games, it's got books, it's got the movies, the Xbox and stuff. And like me and Miriam are pretty much the only ones that come in here unless, we allow people to come in here. And so it is a space I can just go out of the house, come in here and just kind of relax and have my own space essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I will now talk about those mini announcements we just talked about. So, something that I came up with the idea of. I swear I did mention this at some point on the podcast, but that's okay.
Maybe,
I'll mention
I think it was when you were talking
Maybe
about Hamilton.
Officially announce it now.
Yeah, we are going to bring out some, or start doing kind of mini episodes, and they'll be very sporadic. It will just be when someone comes up with the idea for one and decides to make it. But what it will be, it will be one of us, me, Luke, or Ethan, and maybe 1 or 2 friends with us, or whatever, and it'll be a 15 to 30 minute episode about a very particular topic, like maybe
could go on for
gaming,
longer, who knows?
social gaming. You could go on for longer, but it'll just be a bonus episode, I guess.
Rather
and
whenever we feel like doing them.
Yeah, whenever we feel like doing one. So I haven't got round to it yet. Stuff have just happened, but eventually me, my girlfriend Gabby, and my sister Miriam will do one about Hamilton because the filmed musical just came out on Disney Plus. Well, it came out a little while ago, but that came out. We watched it, and there was a lot of fun. And so we'll just be talking about that and that. Luke, you've sort of got one planned.
I've got some ideas for 2.
Oh yeah. So
ideas,
yeah.
At least.
Those will come out. Ethan may do one. It will just whenever we come up with the idea for one, we'll record it. We'll just release it sporadically, and that if you see something called Up and Go with Cupcakes, that's what that is, and that'll still release on the same channel. So on the same channel on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to us. But that's what that will be. And I feel like I had something else, didn't I? No? Is that it? I think that's just the mini episodes? Yeah. I'm quite excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I like what's the word? Diversifying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, just on the topic of what we're doing, and I'll start to, I'm rambling now, but I have a plan, and I don't know whether this is a 5-year plan or what. Probably sooner than 5 years, much sooner. But I eventually do want to get a proper YouTube channel started.
Oh yeah.
Not for Up and Go with Muffins. We've got a YouTube channel for Up and Go with Muffins. Subscribe. You can search Up and Go W Muffins. But I want to get my own YouTube channel, and it'll just be my Instagram, but as a YouTube. And I want to do proper probably not board game reviews, and the reason for that is there's plenty of board game reviewers.
Yeah.
And for me to be a successful board game reviewer, I'd really need to have I need to have my own thing. Yeah, I need to have something different. I need to do something uniquely, and I just don't know what that would be to set myself apart. So, but I do plan on doing a board game YouTube channel, and I think what it would be is I quite like using like Tabletopia, which is a system to play board games online. And but it isn't like we're talking about technology being what's the word, intuitive?
Yes.
I suppose. Yeah, Tabletopia isn't intuitive to use. No. It's kind of convoluted, and so I think what I would do is do like how to play videos for specific games, but using the Tabletopia system, and maybe just a how to use Tabletopia in general video, that sort of stuff. Yeah. But anyway, I mentioned that as my example of kind of creative things I plan on doing sometime soonish in the future. And but this is kind of what we talked about in episode 4, but not really. But just, do you guys have anything, like any projects that you aspire to do in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I've got that trading card game thing I was doing that I need to do before my deadline runs up, and you're right.
What was your deadline?
I said 6 months, and I think that was like 2 months ago.
Oh,
so
right,
I still got time. I got time.
I got time.
But yeah, no, I've got some like creative things I suppose I want to do. The problem is like when I'm working at university, it takes so much out of you. When you get home, you don't want to do anything, and it's just hard. Mm-hmm. So I suppose I just need to suck it up, stop being a princess, and do some things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to be a princess though?
Speaking truth right now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, what about you, Luke?
I'm
TV
on the similar line of Daniel. I'd like to live stream, but also there's just so much.
Have an internet connection. That's a requirement.
That's important too. There's just so much in the streamer community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As well as it's hard to like actually be successful, and I don't know. I'd like to just do it anyway because I enjoy doing it. I don't do it very often because I'm busy and I'm lazy. My internet's just a bit stinky. So when I'm in the new place and we've got better internet, I might start doing it more just on my time off.
Good luck with that.
Is it a way to unwind or whatever? Thank you. But
sorry, I don't think you took my tone into account.
I chose to ignore it. I'd like to do a YouTube channel or stuff down the line. I really like watching particularly groups of content creators like Offline TV, people like that, where it's just a bunch of people playing silly games and they're all messing around and it's funny. I'd like to do stuff like that where, because I play with a lot of like groups of gamers anyway and I do lots of different games, so I'd like to like record and then make the videos funny, even just for me.
I like to get into criticism.
Yeah, I can look back and laugh.
I like critic. I mean, criticism is a weird thing because I feel like it's lost its way. And as far as specifically for when it comes to critiquing art, the purpose of a critic for me isn't to like go, this movie's bad and it's bad and bad, or it's great, you should go see it. It's for people to align themselves with critics of the same taste. If it's a commercial critic, and since that like I'm reviewing this and whether or not you should buy it or not, you should have a personality and a set of tastes that other people can align themselves with, and so they will know, oh well, you know, people have a limited amount of time. You can't play every game, watch every movie, listen to everything that's been released. And so they should find someone that is similar enough to them so that they can go, oh, if they like this, I'll probably like this, and they can select off it like that. The other role of criticism, I'm kind of doing a video on. I'm writing a video essay about it on like I'm the working title is a critique of critique, because I think that's clever. But it's just about how, you know, the purpose isn't. It's one thing that really frustrates me is about critiquing something artistic, and by that I mean, you know, something that's really is subjective by nature, is meant to entertain, right? Like art is a very vague word, and it's hard to pin down. But when you're critiquing art, I see so many like movie reviewers or video game reviewers being like, "This is bad," and it's objectively bad, and it really frustrates me that people have like run away from subjectivism in the sense of like it's okay for like you not to like something because you don't like it. Like you don't, and what I mean by that is not like I don't like this game because it has this one character who I don't like because I don't like the voice, but for you to think that the story was not well developed,
Mary Jane.
Yeah. But for you not to have most of the stems from Mary Jane.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But to have something that stem. Sorry, I'm trying to find my words. I'm not the best speaker live. I need a lot of time to sit down and write.
No. Yeah.
You too.
Yeah. I don't write. I'm not very good at preparing a speech. I would actually probably say I'm
like a bullet pointer.
Better. Yeah. That's definitely me. It's just like write down what I want to talk about in just bullet points, and then I go off that.
I have a pretty No,
You guys don't prepare notes for the podcast?
No.
Have you guys not been getting my show notes? Have you guys not been getting the script? I thought you guys were reading this. Yeah, I thought you guys were reading the script.
Yeah, I like scripts for at least my stuff because I like being able to speak eloquently, which I can't do off the top of my head most of the time.
If I started doing YouTube channels, YouTube videos, I think I would write myself a script, but I wouldn't
stick to it
necessarily stick to it. I would just write down I would write down much more than just bullet points. I would write down what I need to say, and I would go off that.
Yeah. But point being, like, I want to see critics like embrace the fact that they'll like things just because they'll like it, or they'll dislike things just because they don't like it. And that's all right. And and because I think like a big selling point of critics is their personality. Rather than like people trying to objectively like, no, Halo's better than Call of Duty. Like that stupid stuff. Like, like criticism isn't about weighing things against each other. It's just whether you like it or not, or how you think this could have been better for people with your taste.
Yeah.
Because I think this is something we could do probably a whole topic on criticism. But I know this is something me and Dan tend to. It probably is the main source of our arguments is implicit information. And by arguments, it's not fights, but just disagreements or not clearly explaining ourselves. Where,
talks that make Luke cry.
Yeah. Like if I say, like I know I've said that, like, I don't, or I think this is bad, right? And a lot of people have trouble distinguishing. A lot of people have trouble distinguishing criticism of things they like from criticism of them. So that's a big problem, and part of it, like when people tie themselves to certain pieces of art, such that if you start criticizing it, it's like you're like, that's my thing, and you're saying bad things about me.
Yeah. And that's quite an unhealthy thing to do as well. Like I don't think I'm attached to anything. Like, even if someone tells me they don't like board games, right? I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Not for everyone.
That's fine. Like, board games is my biggest hobby,
Yeah.
Like, of physical things, it's probably my biggest, passion is board games.
We all have
but if someone doesn't like it, if someone doesn't like board games, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I see they're not for everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't phase me at all.
Yeah.
Right?
But you do get people.
And I was just going to say, you get people that it does phase, and I think what it is some people will read too much into what you're saying. Right?
Yeah.
I don't like board games, and the person that loves board games is reading, I don't like you because you like board games, because I don't like board games, Or it's like, I think you're stupid for having this hobby because I don't like it.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's not what I'm saying,
Yeah. I think it comes down to a lot of, like, most people, specifically when you start using the word bad or, like, trash or things like that. Like, for example, like, I don't like Ruby. I'm relatively vocal about the fact that I don't like Ruby. And I think I have reasons why I think it's bad. I don't necessarily express them all the time due to the people in our group who like Ruby, but and that's the thing. It's not that I think people can't enjoy the show or that the show has no value. It's just for me, there's no. It's not something. It's not for me.
It has no value.
No,
for you.
not even that. I wouldn't say that. There is value.
Okay.
I think something has to be really terrible for it to be that, for there to be no value. It's just that it's when it comes to me disliking things, it's almost always a case of they could have done so much more. Which I suppose is because I tend to critique things from a point of view of like art rather than a product, right? Because people, and what I mean by that is people who critique in the sense of a product is I'm buying this thing, or this is what this is a service being provided for me. How much is it worth what I'm paying for it? That type of thing. Where I think art is very much like what could they have done, what they could have done better, thing like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
your
missed potential is heartbreaking for me constantly, and also just sort of poor things. But yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think particularly like with TV shows and stuff, right? I'm able to look past flaws in like, filming mistakes or animation mistakes or like sound mistakes, where like I can't think of an example, but
someone made an oopsie that happened.
Yeah. And like to me, if the story's good enough, I'm just like, I didn't even notice.
There is some things that I do obsess over in terms of details. Like for example, I still remember that there's a scene in Captain America 2 where a grenade ticks and it annoys the hell out of me.
Oh right, yeah. see stuff like that doesn't bother me in the slightest. It just it really doesn't bother me, and
it annoyed me so much that I still remember it to this day, and I have not seen that movie outside that time you watched it with you two in the cinema.
I remember you mentioned it in the cinema.
No, you're on the way home.
No, you mentioned it. No, you mentioned it in the cinema.
Did I?
Like you mentioned it in the car too, but also in the cinema.
So I feel watching medical stuff.
Yeah. I imagine it is. It's like when a thing is about things. I think what a lot of people miss is that when people are really critical of things, it's normally because it's of it in an area of things they love.
Yeah.
And so a lot, like you've got two types of people who are afraid to say anything bad about the thing they like because it's the thing they like, or the people who say nothing about the bad thing. Sorry, they say nothing but bad things about the things they like, not because they're negative, but because they love it so much that they want to purge imperfection from. And it's about striking a balance between the two. Like extremes are never.
Yeah. Oh, like so. For example, I acknowledge that that scene, it obviously was a mistake. Something that I didn't think about, and with the grenade scene from Civil War.
Was it Civil War? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was Civil War. And I acknowledge that it was a mistake, and I acknowledge that the Marvel movies have a lot of mistakes. The continuity's not that great for some things in the movies, and a lot of stuff just doesn't line up and doesn't make sense. And I acknowledge that, but I still love it, And I think you're right. You have to find a balance of. You can't just defend anything. I can't just go, oh, well, it could have been a very specific type of grenade. It could have been a grenade that,
what you didn't realize.
From the Marvel universe.
Marvel grenade,
I just go, no, you're right. That was a mistake. There was, and that probably would have been an easy thing to A, figure out that it was a mistake. B, fix in. Like, they wouldn't have to do any refilming.
They just would have had to
take out the ticking
that
noise.
Was added in post, and that's what frustrates me about it so much is that I know that was added in post.
Like to those that can't see, Ethan is like strolling around his kitchen, throwing his hands up in frustration. But it was an easy fix, and I think I think particularly with the things you love,
Yeah.
right? You have to be able to acknowledge flaws in them.
Yeah, it can be, and some people can like strike you. It can strike some people as just being constantly negative. Most of the people and you do get some people who are just constantly negative, but they tend to do it about everything rather than the things you love. Because I mean, I know I'm hardest on the things I care about. Like if there's something I really like, then I'm often a bit more meaner to it than I am with things that I'm just like, oh, all right, it's all right.
I wouldn't say I'm meaner to it. I would say I'm more specific in what I dislike. As in, like, if there's a show I really don't like, and let's say an episode comes out, and I really if there's a show I really do like, and an episode comes out that I didn't like, I'm very specific in being able to point out, what I didn't like about that episode. I'm like, oh, well, this was done pretty badly in my opinion, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if it's something I just don't like, I'm like, I just don't like it.
And I think that also is what separates, being able to articulate what you don't like is what separates critique from whinging. And like, the one thing I hate about critics getting called out for is nitpicking, because I think nitpicking's fine, because nitpicking actually does have, like my grenade thing, that is nitpicking, but it can have like serious implications for some people. Especially, and people think of it as a small thing, but when something's purpose is to immerse you and keep you in it, and then something like that will take you out because it's just very obvious that, like, oh, this. I mean, I guess the argument's a bit stupid because it's like, oh, that took you out, but not the superheroes. But like, there's like suspension of disbelief and things. Anyway, topic for another time.
That was a long rant about critiquing after we had said we should do an episode about critiquing.
Prequel. And it's messy thoughts. I'd like to do like a more structured one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like. I watch reviews a lot, like board game reviews, and so which is pretty much critiquing. And I quite like the different styles, so I would be interested in it. Do you watch reviews of anything, Luke? Do you care what other people think?
Sometimes. I'm more. I don't really know. I don't watch a whole lot of reviews. I more watch reviews of stuff that, like, say I'm looking to buy a new product of some sorts.
Oh, okay,
I'll look at reviews of things I'm considering buying. Like, say I'm looking for I'm not ever changing from iPhone, but say I'm looking for a new phone or a new camera or something. I'll look at I'll watch a bunch of reviews or shoes or whatever of ones I'm interested in, and then I'll watch reviews about stuff that I'm normally actively looking to buy, or if a product I know is really popular.
Why not just say it aloud and wait for a Facebook ad?
So you generally wouldn't watch like a review or for entertainment purposes.
I'd have to be interested in the thing they were reviewing.
Right. Yeah.
Watch a lot of car reviews and stuff. I guess that's because I like cars.
Yeah, I suppose that's.
I don't think
car reviews are real interesting.
I don't think I'd watch a review for the sake of watching a review. You know what I mean?
No.
That's what you're asking.
No, I was more meaning like. Sorry, I'll just cut in. That's more meaning for like board game reviews, right? I'll watch a review for a board game that I know I have no plan on buying, but I am interested in the board game, right? I don't watch the review just because my favorite reviewer posted it.
Oh, I do. Like, I well, not necessarily for all topics, but like because my thing is that I've aligned myself with viewers with same tastes, almost. Not to become an echo chamber, but because they also do sometimes have different tastes. But it's like
if I did that though, I'd be watching a lot of YouTube because they will have multiple videos a day.
Oh, see, the reviews I watch tend to be like one a month if you're lucky.
Yeah, long
form type things. Joseph Anderson was one.
But my favorite YouTube channel is a coalition of multiple reviewers, right?
Coalition.
Yeah. Combination.
Conglomeration. Is that what
congregation.
Conglomerate.
The main three being Tom, Z, and Mike, right? And so they all each do probably a video a day, right? And so like, yeah, I can't watch everything they watch, and I don't want to because I'm just not that interested.
Yeah. Reviews are definitely good to I don't know. I do like watching reviews and getting other people's thoughts. Like I do have a few people that if I want to know about, say, a movie or something, I'll go to them because I trust their opinion. I don't know if I think it's worth watching.
I also just like talking about the things I like, and so it's also real fun to like if you can talk to someone with a completely opposite opinion from you and like actually talk to them instead of going you bad. That's really healthy, and it's also really fun and interesting, I find. Like, I suppose from I'm not so much heavily involved in it, but anime is a good one in that sense because you get a lot of different opinions. And Cars is probably a better one, right? Because I've driven a lot of cars, and I'm very opinionated, and it's really interesting to see how different reviewers have the take on cars that I've hated and cars that I like.
Yeah.
Because they're
kind of like you've got brands where, like, not to throw shade or anything, but like Land Rover or Range Rover is known to be notoriously unreliable. Yeah. So you and me would sit here who are probably won't ever be buying one of those super expensive cars. Yeah. We sit here and we go, why on earth would you buy one? I mean, but then you talk to someone who would buy one, and you'd go, well
it's real frustrating because at work, speaking Land Rovers or Range Rovers, I drove about 10 of them a day at work minimum, because everyone has one. And you can tell the people who own Land Rovers because that's a status piece, and you can tell people and you can tell cars that are owned because their owners love Land Rovers. And it's really interesting. You'd be surprised at how filthy nice cars some of these nice cars are. Yeah, God, some of them are disgusting.
By filthy, you mean like on the inside, or
like Macca's packets,
Ferrari because they
like Macca's packets,
daily driver,
banana peels, apple cores, rotting fruit.
Oh, gross!
It's not great. I'm glad I don't have to groom them. I don't mind like cars that are dirty, like utes from like mud and stuff, but some of them, when they start to smell, it's like no bueno. I know someone brought their car in for a groom, and they hadn't washed it since they bought it, brand new, and it had 130,000 kilometers on the clock.
Wow!
So yeah,
yikes.
It was dank.
I try to wash my car at least every fortnight.
I try to do mine when I look at it and go, I don't want to be seen driving this. Because
I live rurally, I do not care too much about the outside, but the inside,
you and me have a similar driveway.
I keep the inside very clean.
Yeah, the inside is definitely more important to me.
Just so if people get in, they go, oh, it's nice in here.
Pastry crust.
Literally, you and me have the same type of driveway. It's dirty. If it rains, you wash your car, you go one slip, you drive, you're filthy.
Yeah.
It's not.
We all have the same kind of
I spray it down every so often just so there's not like mud.
Oh, what did I do the other night?
So when
I was driving at the middle of the night, and because I live rurally, there was this road that was, asphalt, and then it just suddenly goes to gravel, and it's 100-kilometer road. And so I go from asphalt to gravel at 100 k's, and I'm like, oh no. And sure enough, my car was very messy after that. I was lucky I didn't get thrown off the road, to be honest.
Your driveway's on a bit of a hill, as you know, Daniel, and I went up.
Yeah.
My car's notoriously low, and I bottom out and and drive the way that it says. Mm-hmm. And I went up on the edge a little bit, and it had been raining, and I just almost got stuck, lost traction, and set mud everywhere. And I was like, well.
I accidentally wheel spin.
I guess I look like an off-roader in a little Nissan. Hell yeah.
Yep, that's the trouble with living rural.
Will?
Yeah. It's just...
Dan doesn't
copyright strike. Hey, no political views here, we said.
Dan doesn't look Scooby-Doo.
Flip, Richard.
Hey, we said not to say anything that will get us in trouble in the future. I'm stretching for my Scooby-Doo voice acting career, Ethan.
We don't want us digging
I'll be like
15 years ago.
I'll be like that guy from Twilight who hates the Twilight.
Yeah,
movies,
Robert Pattinson. He's fine.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's good for us. I think that'll do us.
We did half
we
an episode
rambled
of the
on a bit there. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that.
Hey, we're getting better, guys. We're fine-tuning.
Yeah,
we're
that
the best podcast. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a video critic and you listen to our podcast, you should make a critique video.
You should come on the show
and say to us, you should say
critique
to
us
us,
live.
critique us live. That'd be hilarious. I would love that.
We'll make different categories, and we'll ask you about how we do in those different categories.
No, let them choose the categories.
Yeah. That could be good fun. Make a game out of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Ethan, as always, for joining me as the co-host.
Winner.
Thank you, Luke, for coming on as a special guest. I was getting this.
Anytime.
And yeah, just once again, thank you for listening. Like I said, we have those mini-sodes coming up. We have hopefully some more fun stuff planned. We might submit Luke to some torture, but you know.
Stay tuned on the YouTube for more live content as well.
Yeah, hopefully. If Luke gets back into doing some streaming, or if I get my YouTube channel going up, then we'll definitely let you know. You guys will probably be the first to know. And other than that, you can find us on Instagram at Up and Go with Muffins. You can find our Discord linked there, or in the description below, or in the YouTube. You can email us at upandgowmuffins@gmail.com. And
all links in the description.
Yep. You can find us on Tinder, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff.
We should create a account. That'd be funny.
And until next time, man, I was about to do a catchphrase, and then I realized we don't have a
do.
Yeah. Have fun drinking.
Water.
Stay thirsty.
No, up and go.
Oh yes. Right.
Make sure to eat dry muffins. And
we're not sponsored. All right, catch you later, everybody.
You see everyone. Bye.